our salah is, it comes down to the same reason that we've been discussing today, is our severance from the love of the Prophet ﷺ, and the fact that when we think deen is restricted to the masjid or the masalla or Madina or Munawwara or Makkah, deen is a way of life. Every breath of our life is deen. Dunya is part of deen. The difference, the Sufiya and the ulama say that the difference between deen and dunya is niyyah. Simply your intention. When you go to work, on the face of it, this is dunya. You are earning a living. But if you make niyyah, oh Allah, I am going to work to provide a living for my family, for my parents, for my children, for my wife. Or that I am doing this to provide a better standard of living for myself, for those. I am doing it to earn money so that I can spend more in your path. Then all of a sudden, that dunya becomes deen. Now what happens is when we enter our salah, Hazrat Ali karramallahu wajhahu al-kareem, when he used to step on the musalla after doing his wudu, he would be sweating. He would be absolutely sweating, drenched, and his face would be shaking. The Sahaba asked, "Oh Ali, why do you shake? Why do you have such fear on your face before you enter your salah?" And he said, "Because I am about to enter the domain of the Lord. Yes, He is Rahman and He is Rahim, but at the same time He is Jabbar and He is Qahhar. Yes, He is the forgiver, but at the same time He will take me to task for my sins." When you have this thought in your mind that Allah, yes, He is merciful, but also He is the one who will punish. When you concentrate on the punishment of Allah, and when you concentrate on what is going to happen to you when you enter your grave, all of a sudden you find that your concentration improves. You are able to focus on your salah. But how do you develop this? You develop this by turning your dunya into deen. Because we are so engrossed in the dunya that when it comes to our salah, it's difficult to take our minds from the dunya and focus it on our salah. But if deen becomes dunya, then there is no difference. Everything is your deen and you will be able to concentrate a lot easier. One of the other things I want to say is that you will never reach the station where you will pray your salah and you will never have a second thought in your mind. The reason being, Hazrat the Sahaba came once and Aka Kareem alayhi salatu wasalam said, "Oh my companions, I will give my Kamli Mubarak to that person who can pray 2 cycles of Nafal Salah and not think about anything of the dunya whilst they are praying." एक सिहाबा आते हैं, 2 रकात नमाज नफल पढ़ते हैं, सलाम फेरते हैं, बाकी बेताबी से इंतजार में बैठे हैं। जी जनाब, फरमाते हैं नहीं, मेरे जहन में दुनिया का ख्याल आया। ठीक है, दूसरे आते हैं, सब इंतजार में है, everyone's eagerly awaiting. He says salam, yes, did you think of anything in your salah? Yes, I thought of my children, I thought of my wife, I thought of my business, I thought of this, I thought of that. ऐसे एक एक करते सारे सहाबा ने मुकम्मल तौर पर कोशिश की। आखिरकार सैयदना अली कर्रमल्लाहु वजहुल करीम खड़े थे। सब सोच रहे थे, anyone can do it, Ali will be able to do it. अली ने मुसल्ले पर पाँव रखे, वही कपकपी और हैबत तारी हुई, पसीना छूटा, चेहरे पर असरात तंगी के नजर आए। अल्लाहु अकबर कहे के नमाज में दाखिल हुए। He said Allahu Akbar and entered his salah. He prayed his 2 cycles of salah. जब सलाम फेरा तो बेताबी से इंतजार में है सहाबा कि ये शेर खुदा है। फरमाने लगे, हाँ अली बता, क्या तूने इस दुनिया के बारे में सोचा? He said, I swear by Allah, I did not think about this dunya through the whole 2 cycles of my 2 rakats of my namaz, but just before I said salam, मेरे दिल में ख्याल आया कि कौन से रंग की कमली मुझे आका अता फरमाएंगे. Which color of chadar will the Prophet, that is dunya. So if Sayyidina Ali thought of the dunya, then you and I are nothing. Remember, but this is a process. You must strive and you must try your best. There's much that we can be said on this topic. Lectures are given on this topic, but mukhtasar in a short few minutes, that's the method of doing that. And again, in concentration in our life's activities. Think of your life's activities as activities of deen and see how barakah enters your deen and your dunya, inshallah. Is it wrong to put lights on your house for Eid or Mawlud, etc.? For example, Christmas lights outside your house. The rule of Shariah is that anything which mimics an aqidah, there's a difference in Islam and religion. There's a difference between amal, action, and there's a difference between your faith, your aqidah. When an action in another religion represents something of their deen, something of their aqidah, their belief. For example, saying Happy Christmas or Merry Christmas. I said this last week also. The word Christmas, and I've done research on this word, I've spoken to priests in the church, and they say that this word represents their belief that Christ is the Son of God. So when you are wishing somebody Happy Christmas, that you are conforming and you are adopting this aqidah that Na'uzubillah, Isa alayhi salam is the son of Allah, Mazallah. This is completely incorrect, and this is not the belief of the Muslims. Therefore, you cannot say Merry Christmas, you can say Happy Holidays, you can say many other things. Or if you find yourself in a situation where you have said Merry Christmas, then you must say to yourself, Lam yalid wa lam yulad. Nothing comes from Allah, and Allah does not come from anyone. So you eradicate that aqidah from your mind and heart. This is disallowed because it represents a belief. But there are many practices which are not part of belief and deen. They are just rasumat, culture. For example, many of our Pakistani, Indian, Bangladeshi, subcontinent, many of our actions are not deen, but they are culture. But as long as they don't contradict something in Sharia, then they are acceptable to do. For example, if you have a mehndi, and the mehndi, you are having songs and dancing, and you are, there's fahashi, there is all sorts of things going on which shouldn't be going on, then that is haram. It is against the dunya, it is against Sharia. But if you have a gathering, and you have a mehndi, and you read Naat on the Prophet ﷺ, and the women with no men there enjoy themselves and they have a good time, it's not a problem. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, Sayyidah Fatima was in a gathering as such. Hazrat Umar radiallahu anh took out his sword. That how dare these women, the Prophet ﷺ stopped and said, Umar, let them enjoy themselves, they're not doing anything against Sharia. So there is one thing to do something which is against Sharia, as long as something doesn't contradict Sharia, then it is acceptable. This practice of saying Merry Christmas contradicts Sharia. This practice of putting up Christmas trees contradicts Sharia because it is a part of their faith. However, lights has nothing to do with Christianity. The Jews put lights up, the Hindus put lights up. It is not the shi'ar, it is not the representation of their faith. Many people, many customs, many cultures put lights on to represent their happiness, and this is something that is permissible also for Mawlud al-Nabi because it does not contradict Sharia and it does not represent an act of faith, it represents an act of love. Food is ready outside, so I'll just whiz through some of these questions. Okay, this is a long question. Can you talk about children's duties towards parents? That needs a couple of hours. Can you describe how the Prophet ﷺ used to look, dress, etc.? What was his hair like, and is it true he used mehndi henna in his beard? Yes, it is true that the Aka Kareem ﷺ on occasion did use mehndi on their blessed beard. When it comes to the description of the Prophet ﷺ. Never mind me, I have given you the description of Pir Meher Ali Shah Sahib. Pir Meher Ali Shah Sahib, one day he was traveling and he was reading Qasr Namaz, he was traveling, and at Fajr he decided to read 2 farz instead of reading the full 2 sunnah and 2 farz. After his reading 2 farz, he went to sleep and he had his qismat awoke. The doors to Jannah opened and he saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "ऐ मेहर अली, तूने मेरी सुन्नत छोड़ी, मुझसे मोहब्बत के दावे करते हो और मेरी सुन्नत छोड़ी. You pretend to love me and you left my sunnah." He said, I immediately woke up, I did my wuzu, I read two sunnah, two farz again, repeated my salah, and then he says, I wrote these words of this now, where I described the Prophet ﷺ. Again, the poets have done a great job of describing, but there are those poets who have described out of their thought, out of the descriptions from hadith, from the descriptions of the Sufiya, and then you have the Sufiya who have written out of their own vision when they have done Didar Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Hazrat Ala Hazrat Fazil Barelvi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi. At his time there was another great wali of his time, Hazrat Mian Sher Muhammad Sharpuri rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, from Punjab, and he was in Bareli Sharif, several hundred kilometers apart. One day, Pir Mian Sahib stays at night, he does dua, and he says, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I wish to see the ghas of my time. He says, I went to sleep. In the next morning he woke, he was taking his belongings and he was rushing. जब पीर ऐसे करते हैं तो खादिम तो कहते हैं कि जनाब हम आपकी खिदमत के लिए आप खुद को अपना बोरी बिस्तर उठा रहे हैं. The khadims came and said, let us do it. He said, no, मैं खुद ही करूँगा. फरमाने लगे कि भाई ठीक है लेकिन कहाँ जा रहे हैं? बस मुझे छोड़े, I'm going. Where are you going? Leave me, I'm going. They followed him to the train station. They said, where are you going? He said, I'm going to Bareilly to meet Shah Ahmad Raza Khan Bareilly. He said, we'll come with you. They went. इधर वो ट्रेन पर बैठे और उधर शाह अहमद रजा खान बरेलवी ने अपने गुलामों को निदा दी, जाओ इतने वक्त और इतने मिनट पर. There were no timetables in those days, no train timetables. He said at this hour, at this minute, the train from Punjab will arrive और पंजाब का शेर उस पे होगा, उसका इस्तेमाल के लिए वहाँ पहुँचो. At that time, at that minute, the train arrived, they saw this Nurani Chehra come from the train. They said, this is the Sher of Punjab. They took him, Ala Hazrat was stood outside greeting him. And Ala Hazrat said to him, come, rest, you have had a long journey. Aram farmaye, mere hujre mein aram farmaye. Asar ke baad milenge. Unka ma'amul tha, Aka Kareem alayhi salatu wasalam ki bhi sunnat hai ki asar ke baad baitha karte the. He came, he said, we will meet after Asr. At Asr, Mian Sher Muhammad Shadpuri rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi came down, and ऐसे कमरा था जहाँ आला हजरत बैठे थे और हजूम था लोगों का. There were people sat there, he was sat. How was he sat? ऐसे बैठे हुए लिख रहे थे, तेजी से लिख रहे थे. Mian Sher Muhammad came to the door, stood like this, was about to enter, looked up, stepped back, और नजरें झुका के रोना शुरू कर दिया. आंखों से अश्क बहना शुरू कर दिए. He started to cry and cry. After a few moments, he turned around to his companions and said, let's go. He said, Aka, you came all this way, इतनी दूर से, इतनी मुशक्कत से आप इधर आए थे मुलाकात के लिए, और मुलाकात किए बगैर आप जा रहे हैं. फरमाया बस चलो यहाँ से. Let's go. Fine. They left all the way to the train station, like Murid's Baja the fees, he's getting badgered, and he was saying, tell us, what was the issue, why did you leave? And he said, ठीक है मैं आपको बताता हूँ, मैं तो आया था वक्त के गौस का दीदार करने, मुझे तो आका करीम का दीदार हो गया. फरमाने लगे वहाँ आला हजरत बैठे थे, वो लिख रहे थे और मैंने देखा कि उनके पास आका करीम अलैहिस्सलातु वस्सलाम जलवा अफरोज थे, वो बयान फरमा रहे थे और जो कुछ वो बयान फरमा रहे थे वो लिख रहे थे. I saw that the Prophet ﷺ was stood. Whatever he was saying, Ala Hazrat was writing. I came to see Ala Hazrat and I saw the Prophet ﷺ. When these people saw with the eyes of their love, then they wrote great descriptions of the Prophet ﷺ. I wouldn't even, मैं इतनी जसारत भी नहीं करूँगा कि मैं उनका हुलिया मुबारक बयान करूँ. What is the best way to communicate with your teenage children, especially boys who do not? You know something? Your boys, your girls, if you want to protect the iman of your children, teach them the love of the Prophet. And then you will say, how will I teach them the love of the Prophet? Hakimul Ummah Allama Iqbal ne bhi iska tod jawab diya hai. He is given the solution to this. और 3 जवाब उन्होंने बताए हैं. वक्त नहीं है, एक जवाब आपको देता हूँ. He says, teach your children Durood Sharif. Teach your children Durood Sharif. And get them to recite it every day. जब छोटे बच्चे हैं ना, खाना खाने पर आते हैं, say to them, 10 मरतबा, 15 मरतबा, 20 मरतबा दुरूद शरीफ पढ़े. उठते हैं, सुबह की दुआ उठने की सिखाओ और फिर उनको बताओ दुरूद शरीफ पढ़ो. स्कूल जाने के वक्त अगर आप दुरूद शरीफ पढ़ेंगे तो आपको स्कूल में कामयाबी होगी. Teach them दुरूद. If you do दुरूद, just make it a habit. और उनका दावा है कि 10 दिन के अंदर आपको तब्दीली नजर आएगी. दावा है, मेरा दावा नहीं है, बुजुर्गों का दावा है. लंबी बात है लेकिन ये मुख्तसर जवाब था. Can you please tell us what the Quran says specifically about the khimar, hijab, how to wear it? Is it okay to wear it loose the way some aunties do, or must you wear it tight? Okay for your neck to show? What does Hadith Quran say about women's dress code? Mukhtasar, I will tell you the answer to that. It's a good question. When it comes to the etiquette of wearing hijab for women, the Quran, the words of the Quran, it is Quran. It is not even Hadith, this is Quran. It is the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where He describes parda and covering of women. Hijab is necessary. What is the definition of hijab? Covering your modesty. What must be covered? Or should I flip it the other way? What is a lady allowed to show? She is allowed to show her hands, but her wrists must be covered. She's allowed to show her feet, but her ankles must be covered. And she's allowed to show her face. What is the face? From this bone under here to the hairline, from the earlobe to the earlobe. That is what is allowed to be shown. Neck and everything under. According to Sharia, that is what hijab is for a woman. In terms of wearing it loose or tight, the only condition is that it must be modest. So for example, we have, and I'm sure we all have seen sisters who wear hijabs but then wear tight clothes where you can see the shape of the body. That is not hijab. Yes, you might be completely covered, but you can still see the shape of the body. And the whole point of hijab is modesty. You know, do fashion, do everything. And I guarantee that if our sisters, our mothers and our daughters do hijab, Allah will give them success in this dunya and in the akhirah. And we're out of time. We have the people at the back motioning that food is ready. But whoever wants to eat can go out. If anybody wants to carry on asking questions, I'll be sat here. I'll give you the narration of hadith about Sayyidah Fatima to Zahra radiallahu anha. A Jew invited her to his daughter's wedding because he wanted to disgrace her. उनका मजाक उड़ाना था कि इनके वालिद दावे करते हैं कि ये अल्लाह के नबी हैं, ये इतने कमज़ोर और इतने ज़ईफ़ और इतने मतलब माल भी गरीब हैं, कहाँ से ये अल्लाह के नबी हैं? तो उन्होंने सोचा कि मैं सैयदा फातिमा इनकी बेटी को दावत अपनी बेटी की शादी पर दे के उनका मजाक उड़ाऊंगा. I will ridicule her when she comes dressed as a poor girl and all my rich family, they will take the mick out of her. सैयदा फातिमा घर पहुंचती है. आका करीम अलैहिस्सलातु वस्सलाम से फरमाती है, हुजूर मुझे इजाज़त है शादी पर जाने के लिए. आका करीम ने फरमाया इजाज़त है. जब इजाज़त दी उसी वक्त दरवाजे पे दस्तक होती है. फरमाया कौन है? जिब्रील हूँ, इजाज़त है अंदर आने की. सैयदा फातिमा के पास जिब्रील भी इज़्न से बगैर नहीं आते. सैयदा इतना पर्दे का ख्याल था. The extent of the haya of Sayyidah Fatima, that even Jibreel knocks and asks permission before entering. He enters, Aka Kareem was also there, and he presented clothes to Sayyidah Fatima. Farmaya, ये जन्नत से अल्लाह ने आपकी हया की वजह से नूरी लिबास आपके लिए भेजा है. Clothes from Jannah Allah has sent for you on the sake of your modesty, on the sake of your parda and your haya and your shame, and how you protect yourself. She wore those clothes, she went in to this wedding. जब वो दाखिल हुई शादी में, वो बनी इसराइल की औरतें थी, यहूदियाँ थी, गश खा के गिर पड़ी. Their heads spun when they saw, and they fell to the ground. When they woke, they said, "Oh Fatima, we invited you so we could ridicule you. But instead you have taken your izzat, your respect and sanctity has grown amongst us. Where did you get this libas from?" Allah, my Lord, and the Lord of my father and his Nabi gave this to me and sent it down from Jannah. जितनी भी वहाँ यहूद की औरतें थी, सब ने कलमा पढ़कर इस्लाम को दाखिल किया. वो लिबास उस वक्त का आला लिबास था. It was the most fashionable, the most beautiful and the most brilliant of clothing at the time. Islam ये नहीं कहता कि फैशन ना करो. Islam ये नहीं कहता कि don't wear